So yeah, here today we have a customer who states they have two outlets by their bed that just work intermittently or work not at all. They stopped working a while back, and so getting frustrated, and they wanted to have it fixed. He was going to replace the outlets, but uh, whenever he pulled out one of them and tested it with his non-contact tester, it was still showing energized. So he didn't want to touch it and called us out. Had a little trouble getting that plug out because that ground was so short, and it looks like they used that at one point in the past to repair an open ground. That would be my only assumption since it goes out the back of the box and it's just by itself. And uh, after that, we start taking readings with our meter, and we're getting a bunch of weird voltages. Neutral to ground was about 60 volts. Ground to hot is about 5-6 volts. And if we go neutral to ground, we're getting about 70 volts. So it seems like it's an open neutral condition, but it's on the neutral side instead of on the hot side. So it's definitely funky. We need to continue tracing this out. We go ahead and put our tracer on it, and we follow it over to the plug next on the other side of the bed, and it is for sure in there. So we'll open this up and take some readings and figure out what's going on. Although I clip my meter there on the plug, block it with my hand so you can't see the readings, but it's pretty similar to what we were getting on that first plug, getting between 60 and 70 volts across. So it's still showing like an open neutral condition, even though it's on the opposite side. So there's still more tracing need to be done because there's some sort of cross wiring somewhere, and we need to find where it's at. My next thought is to check the switch. So we keep the tracer on and we start looking. There's only one switch in this room, luckily, but when we put the tester up to it, we're not getting anything. And in older homes, they typically ran the wire to the ceiling fan, and that is the case here. So the ceiling fan canopy has to come down, and we need to take a look at what's going on in here. They, for some reason, put black tape all over that to hold the remote receiver in, but that's not necessary. So we pull all that down and start looking, and we see a white going to two blacks, which something's going on. So we go ahead and remove the fan all the way, and we start looking at these wires, and it's kind of odd. So I want to go and take a look at the switch and take this out and see what's going on in here. And there's only two wires. They actually cut the ground off, so this is an ungrounded switch. Not sure why they did that, but we'll go ahead and trace those three different pairs out and try and find which two go down to the switch. So, trick I do is just tying that neutral to the hot and then using the continuity mode on my tester and hitting it together. And if it beeps, that's the right wires. And when I disconnect it, it stops beeping. So it wasn't a fluke. That is the two wires we got there. So there's 6 wires up there, power coming in, the 2 wires going down to the switch, and then power going out. As a side note, this is not how you install a ceiling fan. They screwed the bracket to the ceiling instead of to the box, but that's not a ceiling rated box, ceiling fan rated box, so that's why they did that. But it's definitely not how you do that, and you definitely don't want to plaster over an electrical box like this. It's not good. Definitely a fire hazard. So let the customer know, and we'll continue on. There's 2 wires leaving, and so we trace those outside next. They went to this fixture box that was mounted on the wall, and there's definitely something funky going on here. We got the hot and neutral reversed here, and then we have a neutral and a hot just open. So that's the condition we were seeing down at the box on the inside. We had a open neutral and a hot neutral reversed. So getting some false readings here with that non-contact voltage tester, and not sure what's going on there, but we find another junction box about 6 foot away. So we pull the wires out of this one, although it's kind of jammed in there a little tight, and they left all the insulation on. So we actually clean that up and just make sure that's done correctly. And it was ground to ground, neutral to neutral, hot to hot. And so we did the same thing here in the fixture box. We took apart this and did ground to ground, neutral to neutral, hot to hot, and put two blank plates to close this up. Going inside though, we have an open ground condition now, and uh, my remedy to this was to install a GFI and put that sticker that there's no equipment ground on this plug. Um, if you remember in that first box we opened, there was that weird ground going through the back of the box, and that is lost now. So we have a lost neutral between the fixture box outside, and we also have a lost neutral in this box, this first box in the image now. So they had the siding replaced on the home, and I think when they replaced it, the contractors cut that wire, not knowing that that was actually needed for that plug. And so, unfortunately, it's something that we're having to deal with. And like I said, my remedy was to go ahead and install GFI to at least protect them from that open ground condition. So here we are testing it, making sure the two plugs are tied together. And in summary, we had an open hot, which turned out to be that neutral, found an ungrounded switch, and then the incorrectly installed ceiling fan. Then we had that hot neutral reverse, which means that was an open neutral, and then we had the lost ground condition. So tell me what you guys think. Could y'all have solved this one?